the fact that you can't even have any sense of security at a funeral speaks to just what a crisis point there is in this country when it comes to political debate. There is nothing that's off limits.
Those days are over. Those days of being able to walk on a college campus, give a speech in an open area are over. Look, I get death threats all the time. Everyone I know who is in this world gets death threats repeatedly. Ben Shapiro can't give a speech on a campus without having a phalanx of security guards and police officers, not to mention his own personal security.
Yeah.
And I think what we learned is that, look, if somebody wants to kill you, right, they're going to be able to do it. If they're willing to trade, they may not have to die, but if they're willing to trade their freedom, they can do it. It's a scary time for people who want to speak out. But we have to. We have no choice.
I think it's something Douglas Murray said: when something like this happens, you spread the risk. I think he was actually quoting Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who's intimately aware of the horrors that can come from extremists attacking you for your opinion. Now, the New York Post has a great editorial on the funeral. They called it a message to the mainstream media. The editorial asks, was Jimmy Kimmel watching Sunday? Was ABC? Do they understand the bubble they've created? Not only do they not speak to or for these people, they deny they exist. It is unsustainable. Ami, what's your reaction to that? Because you can tell there are many in the media who are shocked by this outpouring of grief, the fact that people have travelled from around the country to be here. They were lining up overnight by 4 a.m. in the dark. There seemed like tens of thousands waiting to enter the stadium. The crowd was huge. And so many in the media are completely blindsided by that.
Yeah, because, look, you know, it's so interesting. The outrage we saw to Jimmy Kimmel's firing as compared to the outrage of an assassination of a cultural and political figure, it's incredible to me. This is what the left has done. It doesn't matter. They're more outraged about a hack comedian who had no audience, right, than truly a significant turning point in our culture. An assassination of a political figure did not draw as much ire from the left as a firing of Jimmy Kimmel.
And they didn't mention it at the Emmys, did they? Not even a passing reference to this significant event.
Do you think that was possible?
I mean,
really?
You would think, when I started seeing major sporting leagues having a moment's silence, doing some of them fairly lengthy tributes, I thought maybe the culture has shifted and that would be reflected in Hollywood. But no, Hollywood is running
not only
its
that,
own show.
Hollywood demonized people in Hollywood who said anything nice about Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Not that they supported Charlie Kirk, God forbid, but people who said, like, a killing of Charlie Kirk is a terrible thing, like Kristen Chenoweth.
Yeah.
And she got roasted by Hollywood for showing empathy.
It's a sick, sick place. Now, the left, the Democrats, are suddenly passionate about free speech, or what they think is free speech. Jimmy Kimmel's terrible program, low-rating program, has been pulled off air. And, Ami, it's incredible. They're trying to make Jimmy Kimmel the victim of this entire catastrophe. Somehow, he's the victim. He's the one who's being targeted and persecuted, as opposed to the man who's had his life taken from him. And he was persecuted with the Biden DOJ. They were investigating Turning Point, him personally. He spoke about his fear of ending up in federal prison if a Democrat was elected president again.
Look, I'm not a fan of the government getting involved in something like Jimmy Kimmel. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it sets a bad precedent, and I promise you it will boomerang when there's a Democratic president.
But it already has. This is the point that Republicans make. Those sort of arguments ring a little hollow because the Democrats go out of their way to silence
They always have.
their political opponents. So I don't know. I think perhaps if they get a taste of their own medicine, if they're held to their own standards,
I don't like it from
maybe
either
they'll
side.
back away from this sort of cancel culture. No.
No, I don't like it from either side. I don't think it's healthy.
Well,
Having
I mean,
said
the
that,
man he's lost 70% of his audience.
he should have been. Don't get me wrong. He should have been
years
fired.
ago.
I have no problem with being firing. I just don't like any government intervention.
Well, of course, we don't want government intervention, but again, from what we've seen reported, he not only said something that was verifiably a lie, and he knew was a lie, he still said it. He had no intention of backing away. Like Ilhan Omar, he wanted to go back on the next program and double down on those attacks. And in that scenario, I mean, what could ABC do? They've just had a massive payout. Unless they just are happy writing checks endlessly, they had to take some action.
We're in the media business. We know they're not willing to write. They're not happy to write endless checks. Look, they were looking for an excuse. There's no question about it. I mean, you saw what happened to Colbert.
Yeah.
It was the same. Late night just isn't driving revenue. Their costs are out of control. Jimmy Kimmel makes a huge amount of money relative to the amount of audience they bring in. It's not worth it. They were looking for a reason, and he gave it to them.
Maths ain't mathsing, as the kids say. It makes no sense. Is that what they say?
They do say that.
Something like that. How can he earn that salary with that pitiful audience? I mean, what sort of a business are ABC running? If I was a shareholder, I'd be asking a few questions. I can tell you about that. Ami Horowitz, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming in today.
Always a pleasure.